Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a tag video. I'm very excited. This was created by Sarah Rose and it is the Project Panner tag. She's fantastic. I've been watching her channel for I think well over 2 years, and I was really excited to see that she created a Project Pan tag, so I thought I would go ahead and do it. And if you want to do it, go ahead. I will list the questions in the description box and her channel as well. If you're interested, I do have a whole Project Pan playlist where you can see my project pans. I'll link that as well, and let's get into these questions. Alrighty, question number one is how long have you been project panning? And I've been project panning for about 4.5 years. I started around October 2015 and I just saw people doing it on YouTube. And at that time, I had kind of fallen out of love with makeup for a few months, and actually project panning kind of re-sparked my interest in makeup. I actually have a whole video talking about why I project pan and all of that. You can check that out if you're interested. I go more into detail, but yeah, I just started doing it on my own. And then about 3 years ago is when I started my Instagram, and then I started my YouTube a little over 2 years ago. Question two is what made you decide to project pan? And for me, it was basically that I had amassed a fairly large makeup collection over like 8 or 9 years. And I was kind of the opposite of a project panner where I was afraid to use things up. And I kind of savored my makeup, especially the high end. Like I would wear only drugstore makeup during the work week and then only wear my high end makeup like on the weekend or special occasion. And then I kind of just realized that a lot of things were getting old and expiring, and that's kind of when I discovered the Project Pan and Declutter community. And I pretty much never decluttered my makeup before that. And I realized I had some things that were very expired. So yeah, I just wanted to use things up. Number three is how do you structure your project pans? Do you do more year-long or seasonal project pans? And I do both, but overall I do prefer shorter project pans. The only year-long ones I'm doing are Pan That Palette, 10 in 2020, and then Pie, Pan and Everything project pan. And the rest are shorter ones like, you know, finish 6 by summer and things like that, where I'm giving myself 3 or 4 months, because I think if all of my projects were year long, I would definitely get sick of the products. So therefore I prefer the shorter ones just to kind of keep myself interested and that I'm not getting bored with the items I'm using. Number four is what are your favorite ways to track progress? And it's actually just mostly through my YouTube videos. I will just go back and watch my previous update before I do another update and just kind of screenshot the, you know, what the pan looked like at that point. Sticks like pencil eyeliners and lip liners, I do mark those on a piece of paper. But other than that, yeah, or Instagram photos. I just go back to either my Instagram photo or my YouTube video. Number five is what have been the easiest products to project pan? For me, it's probably setting spray because I use it before makeup, sometimes use it after makeup. I use it to wet my eyeshadows. So I multitask it quite a bit. So yeah, this is the one I have now by 4-3 Beauty. This isn't a project pan because this is not my favorite. This does irritate my eyes, but it's fine. But yeah, setting sprays, I can usually finish those pretty quickly. Number six is what products have been the hardest to pan? And one type of product is probably bronzer. This is the Marc Jacobs bronzer, and I do have pan on this, but this took me a really long time to hit pan, 1.5 years, something like that. This is a really ginormous bronzer though. And in general, I will just say it so depends on the formula of the product, because a softer eyeshadow or a softer highlighter, as far as powder products, you're going to hit pan so much faster than like a dense formula such as Tarte or Too Faced. Those tend to be really, really dense. So I think overall formula matters a lot more than the type of product. The other product I will say is difficult for me is lip products, particularly lipstick, because I don't really reapply during the day. So it does take me a long time to finish lipstick. Number seven is, are there any type of products that you never or rarely put in a project pan? I put pretty much everything in project pans now, but I didn't used to. For a while, I really did not project pan eyeshadow at all. In my 4.5 years of project panning, I've only been doing Pan That Palette for 3 of those years. Before that, I did not do Pan That Palette. And I didn't project pan a lot of eyeshadows because that was really, really challenging for me. But the more I've done it, I kind of gotten into a rhythm and getting used to it. But other than that, I mean, I project pan pretty much everything, highlighter, bronzer. I will say a lot of things, but like the harder things like bronzers or highlighters, I will often just set a goal of trying to hit pan instead of using the whole thing up. I've noticed that that kind of helps. But yeah, I put most things into project pans. Number 8 is, do you put skincare or body care in projects or strictly makeup? And I do put those things in. If you've been watching my projects, you know I do have a couple of my perfumes currently in project pans. But for the most part, I do mostly makeup. And the reason I stick with that is just because that is kind of like my problem area. I don't really have backups of skincare. I don't have a lot of body care. You know, I have a couple body lotions, but that's about it. So I really try to focus on makeup because that's what I'm worried that I have a lot of that is going to expire. So I just want to get my money's worth, but occasionally I will put in a non-makeup item. Mostly I do that because if I have a lot of makeup items I'm already project panning, I kind of throw those in as gimme products, honestly. Alrighty, number 9 is, what is your number 1 tip for a successful project pan? I have done several videos with project pan tips. If you want to check those out, you can search for that on my channel. But probably number 1, I would say, is consistency. You do have to use things on a regular basis. And so what I've been doing for quite a while that has worked really well is weekdays, I use mostly project pan items, and then weekends, I kind of let myself play around with makeup and use some other things because I do still really want to focus on other items. I do shop my stash and some other things where I'm really rotating because I don't want to be using only project pan items. And I will say that I've noticed at times where I was only using project pan items, even on the weekend, that's when I was getting kind of burned out and sick of the products. So this way, you know, kind of keeps things fresh and exciting. And as far as getting ready in the morning, having project pan items all in one place does make getting ready a lot faster. So I've just noticed that that works for me very well. Number 10 is, has project panning affected your makeup purchasing? If so, how? And I will say mine is probably different than other people because when I got into project panning is also when I started to buy more makeup. Before that, I didn't buy makeup very often. I would just kind of buy it small amounts at a time and kind of amass it over time. But I did increase my purchasing at the same time as my project panning, which seems kind of weird, I know, but I had just kind of fallen out of love with makeup and the makeup community in general at that point. So it kind of all kind of sparked my love for makeup overall. And sometimes I've noticed that if I am finishing a lot of items, then I'll be tempted to go buy more because I'm like, oh, I just finished 5 items in a project pan. So the best thing that has worked for me is actually budgeting. Project panning, unfortunately, it doesn't really deter me from buying makeup. I know that seems kind of weird, but I guess that's just how my brain works. But budgeting is really the only way I've been able to cut down on my makeup purchases. Alrighty, that is it for this tag. If you are interested, you should do this as well. I tag everyone. I will link Sarah Rose in the description box. That is it, and thank you so much for watching.